Hello and welcome back to the Watford Way. Today I've got a video for you where you're probably all interested as to what I've got to say about this situation, and the situation being Francisco Sierralta and where the hell he has disappeared to. Literally, the last two Premier League games, where has Francisco Sierralta gone? We'll be discussing that in today's video. Before we get started, please hit subscribe on the channel. It would be really appreciated. We're trying to get up to 1,000 subscribers by the end of this year. So if you could do that and hit that button, that would be much appreciated. But getting into the video and discussing Francisco Sierralta and where his Watford future's at. We've seen what Xisco has done with several players before. Jeremy Ngakia last season, Ben Wilmot being the main the main example of this, where he'll just freeze a player out the squad, drop them entirely, and that player ultimately looks for a move. Ben Wilmot got the move to Stoke and he's been doing fantastically well ever since he moved there. So I really hope this isn't the case with Sierralta. From my perspective, I'm just guessing. We actually don't know what is happening. There could be a family issue there. There could be a mental health issue there. Or it could just be a tactical decision. We literally don't know what's happening. But my job, running this channel is to ultimately speculate and give my opinion on the situation. And from my perspective, it looks like that Xisco dropped Sierralta after that Wolves game. So the Wolves game, obviously he scored the own goal. Really poor performance by everyone. But I wouldn't say Sierralta was, one of the worst players on the pitch. I think everybody had a poor game then. So to single him out and play Craig Cathcart over him, to me, doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Maybe the other thing I've been thinking about, and maybe this played a factor, obviously Sierralta got called up to the Chile squad, and we had that whole situation where the Premier League didn't want Premier League clubs to let their players go to South American countries because they were on the COVID red list in the UK. So if you're not from the UK, currently we have like a tiered system, like a red, yellow, green. So if a country's on the green list, so let's say Spain's on the green list, you can then travel to Spain without any restrictions coming back. But because Chile was on the red list, if Sierralta had gone out to Chile, on returning he would have had to isolate for 10 days, meaning he would have missed a couple of matches. I think he would have missed the I think possibly the Norwich and Stoke games. So that's what he would have missed if he'd gone out for Chile. But ultimately, Xisco, it seems to me, decided to drop him anyway and play Craig Cathcart, who quite frankly for me is not at the levels of a Premier League defender anymore. We've even got Kabasele on the bench. Kabasele can't even get ahead of Cathcart at the moment. It's absolutely baffling. And on Craig Cathcart's display against Newcastle, by the way, awful, especially the back pass that he played straight to St Maximin. He was free one-on-one. Foster did well to close down the angle, and ultimately it didn't result in a goal. But Craig Cathcart, Kabasele, our centre-backs all have mistakes in them. But Xisco's essentially dropped Sierralta from making one mistake. From our perspective as fans, that's what it looks like, and that's what it looks like what's happened. And he played against Stoke in the cup, but then why is he playing in the cup when he should be playing in the Premier League? It just really doesn't make any sense. Why you would drop a player from scoring an own goal, which can happen to quite frankly any player on the pitch. It doesn't make logical sense to me, and I really hope this doesn't cost Xisco his job, because we saw how good Sierralta and Troost-Ekong were last season in the Championship. Quite possibly the best centre-back pairing in the Championship last season. I think Watford conceded the fewest goals out of any team throughout the whole season. So that shows how good they were last season. And Xisco's got to be consistent in his selections. He can't just be dropping people after making one mistake. You have to have some consistency and some continuity. Similar to Dan Bachmann. And obviously, I know he's injured and he does have an injury. But initially, it looked like Bachmann was dropped for tactical reasons. Whereas from my perspective, I don't actually care who plays in goal. I just want to know who is our starting keeper, and the fact that we should be sticking by them and giving that back line some continuity so they know who they're playing with. Whereas if you're going to change in defenders every week, is Sierralta going to come back in? Is Cathcart going to keep his place? Is Kiko going to keep his place? Will Ngakia drop out? we don't know what's really going on. And Xisco, you know, fair play to him in the sense that he does have the balls to make these decisions. But from my perspective, and quite possibly your perspective watching this video as well, I just want our best players to play in the best positions. Craig Cathcart is a great backup centre-back. Sierralta and Troost-Ekong should be our starting pairing. Simple as. That own goal that he scored does not change my opinion. So that is ultimately my thoughts on this whole situation. What I would say is, if Xisco loses against Leeds heavily and Sierralta is still out of the squad, then serious questions do have to be asked. And don't get me wrong, I love Xisco. My opinion on Xisco's personality, his demeanour will not change. But some of his decisions lately are questionable. So hopefully Sierralta will come back into the Leeds game. Hopefully we'll get the 3 points. I'll be back with you on Thursday evening for my Leeds match preview, obviously away from home, which means I will be here to do a live match watch along for the game. So please join me for that. It'd be much, much appreciated. And I'll see you for another stream or video very, very soon. Bye-bye.